All right, let's go.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yo, friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan, and welcome back to Chelsea News. The once, twice, three times a series here on the channel where I talk about, aggregate, consolidate all the Chelsea headlines, news, rumours, what's being said, speculation. Give it all to you in one beautiful package, hopefully delivered in a manner that you enjoy. Offering my humble opinion, but more importantly, asking for yours. Today, Pochettino does talk about the importance to reinforce the midfield. Could Chelsea stitch up Brighton by not buying Caicedo, which would suck for us, allowing us to buy Kudus? There's been confirmation that Chelsea are making contact for Mohamed Kudus. And as things stand, until Brighton sell Caicedo, they can't buy him. Interesting. The plot thickens. Personally, I'd like to buy Kudus first and then buy Caicedo afterwards to prevent Brighton from signing their main attacking target. Also, with Levi Colwill not starting the game against Newcastle, it's quite enjoyable, really. Like, we brought him in. We just brought him in to banter Brighton. He's not in our plans just yet to integrate him just yet. We just made a special allowance for you, De Zerbi, because you love him so much. Why don't you watch him defeat you? Yeah? And take an L. So yes, we'll talk about some stuff from Ornstein regarding Caicedo and Fabrizio Romano regarding Kudus. So thank you for joining me. Let's read an article from Luke Thrower on football.london. Chelsea boss Pochettino has discussed his side's approach for a midfielder in the summer transfer window with the need for another star in central ranks. Yes, priority. It's also worth saying at this point, Pochettino has praised Kepa Arrizabalaga, our number one goalkeeper, and says he's happy with him and we're developing him. Clearly, they feel like he needs improvement, but potentially they feel like he can improve and be the man. The Blues have only 2 senior first team available so far, and both of them are fetuses, by the way. Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher. They're your senior, and Gallagher's the oldest. You know, Gallagher looks like he's a sixth former. For all you guys across the pond, high school. Yeah, so they're the 2 senior options. That's due to a huge number who's left, of course. Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Mount. You know, the midfield is gone. It is just the midfield packed up its men and left. Despite a lack of options, Football.London understands Gallagher has drawn interest from West Ham and Tottenham. Of course, we've spoken about that. Chelsea have already turned down like a £39 million bid, I believe. Discussing the future of the England international, so Gallagher, Pochettino said in his pre-season press conference, so at the moment we're looking to reinforce that area. I think players that are here on the tour are in our plans, Chelsea's plans, so that's Gallagher. At the moment, nothing to say. I mean, if you sell Gallagher, I know we keep talking about he would bring pure profit and he's maybe not a starter, but he's not a double pivot player either, unless that's what Pochettino's trying to coach him into doing. Maybe he wants to get forward, and you want him to get forward if you play Gallagher. We are working very hard to add players in different areas, and hope that's possible soon. So let's speculate on these areas. Well, central defensive midfield for the double pivot, the fabled partner for Enzo Fernandez long term. Moises Caicedo is the target, of course. I wonder if there's alternatives still. It looks like Liverpool are going to get Romeo Lavia. Which also could be left with our so-and-sos out here. And Cam right wing. I know Matsson's look quite good, but this under-21s international left back who's just come back from a championship loan with Burnley do you look at him and think, yeah, he's the right winger we need? I mean, maybe we do. Maybe he is. Maybe he looks wicked. Do you know what I mean? But is that the situation here? I know in one season we took 4 championship loanees and slam dunked them into our starting lineup. It was Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori, Reece James, and Mason Mount. All had respective loans. Of course, Tammy was at Villa, Mason was at Derby, so was Tomori at Derby with Frank, and then Wigan, Reece James. And Wigan weren't in playoff finals, but these guys were something different. They were special, and of course we had a transfer ban and no Eden Hazard. It's different now. So is Martin, is he the guy for that? Possibly. I'm not saying he's not, but the question needs to be posed. Or do you go mega in for a Kudus? So he says it depends on different situation for different players. We need to look at least one more in the midfield, and it depends what happens in the next few weeks. We'll take our decision. Pochettino's position remains the same. He's like, hot dog, we need that. Maybe the goalkeeper scenario is fading away slightly and they think, all right, Kepa can work. Maybe the striker scenario is fading away slightly and they're thinking Nico Jackson looks like he could do it. I really want to keep my powder dry. I don't want to get too excited, but we spoke about him quite a bit in the video from this morning. Do check that out if you're yet to see it. Nico Jackson just looks like a straight up baller. So it's a midfielder, central defensive midfielder and attacking midfielder. The part of the pitch where you win and lose games. Let me know what you think on midfielder. Let's move on. Right, so still talking about midfielders, but moving on to different sources. David Ornstein's right, and I get from CFCPYS or Pies on Twitter. He's quoted Ornstein here. My understanding is Chelsea have actually had 3 bids turned down for Caicedo. 3 bids. And those bids are, ladies and gentlemen, they're not profoundly different. £60 million, understandably rejected. £65 million, probably and understandably rejected. And now £70 million. So they've gone up 5 million 3 times incrementally, and Brighton are just waving them away immediately. Whether they actually want 100 million, or whether that's a way that they say that and they can get the 80 million that they want. Maybe. David says that something is going to have to give for this to happen, especially if Brighton see the likes of Bellingham and Declan Rice go in the excess of 100 million. Well, that's England tax. Yes, I mean, suddenly, have they just talked this idea into reality? Have they manifested this through sheer will that Caicedo should cost the same, if not more than Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice, and maybe Enzo Fernandez? Where has this come from? I know. I probably missed something. Like, he's played very well, the young man, for 18 months at Brighton. He's filled in at fullback as well. He looks pretty good, yeah. But why is he suddenly like, yeah, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, these guys that have achieved so much at high levels consistently for country and for their clubs, or performing in the Premier League or the Bundesliga. This very short period of time of Caicedo and his stock suddenly up with them. I mean, he might be eventually, but are they just talking that into manifestation? And now everyone's like, yeah, well, they've got to pay Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice money. Do we? Like, what? Yeah. 80 million quid. It's still a lot of money, bro. For a Brighton player who's not like a 20 goal, fair enough. If he scored 25 Premier League goals for Brighton, he's 21 and he looks like he's just ready for more, then they could probably even though fucking Haaland went for like 50 million. Do you know what I mean? Like, fine. But a CDM, maybe they just think there's no CDMs out there. I don't know. It's blowing my fragile little mind, man. Like, big time. They've just talked that into existence, I think. Okay, so Mohamed Kudus, Fabrizio Romano is saying he's not training with Ajax currently, not because he's on the cusp of a transfer. Maybe something to do with it, but he's got a small injury. But 3 days ago, Chelsea had some calls with the player side and with Ajax. So the players camp, who we think will happily join Chelsea, and with Ajax, to understand the conditions of the deal. Brighton can only get Kudus if they sell players or one particular player. Moises Caicedo. And that puts me in a really, not me, I'm not doing anything, I'm just an external bystander, but it makes me think, okay, sack Brighton off, those ruddy little blighters, leave them with a player, Caicedo, who you've got no other bidders for, who doesn't want to play for you. Well, he probably will play and play well for a Europa League team, so, after a bit of sulking, but he wants that transfer, so he'll be frustrated that you haven't granted him his, probably at this point, dream move. You've seen him in a Chelsea shirt a few years ago, and it's such a high-profile club, and it's a big transfer, of course, and an exciting project. So you leave a player disappointed, and that's what you've done, and ultimately we go sign your main attacking target. If I could hold the mic, I'd drop it. That would be fun. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, Brighton would probably still end up somehow winning the Premier League with their luck. I'm just, as I'm having this rant, I'm kind of becoming mindful how I'm speaking far too much about Brighton and getting really triggered by them. But they're in the headlines all the bloody time, at our expense. So this is what the series is on the channel. I reflect to said headlines, and this is what's happening. So it sucks, but, and this is where we are. So Kudus is very, very exciting. He absolutely would fill that role of cam right wing. Exciting indeed, and then we could see a lot of rotation from certain players. Of course, Jackson go wide and Nkunku go wide. You won't necessarily have to be leaning on Martin to be our best right winger. I know everyone will probably say Noni Madueke. Of course, Angelo Gabriel, he will go on loan to Strasbourg, so just end the conversation there. There's no point talking about it if that decision's been made. And this is where we are. So I think Kudus is exciting. And speaking about that right wing position, David Ornstein goes on to say, by the way, these quotes are taken from Ornstein from @5UK. So 5UK is a Rio Ferdinand media football channel platform. He also said this, Ornstein: I was led to believe a bid has not come in for Michael Olise, but Chelsea do have concrete interest. So the £39 million bid for Olise is incorrect. Generally, I like to take Ornstein's word above all, so I tend to believe him whatever he says, because he only really speaks when the truth's about to come out. And fair enough. Olise, is a very, very exciting young player. I would absolutely take him at Chelsea in the same way I'd take Kudus. I think Ryan Cherki would offer this unique level of creativity from central positions that the other two might not do, but the other two can go out wide and be really tricky. I don't know, I'd take any of them, man. We've said this before, it's like a trio of options. If any of the three arrive at Chelsea, you can sort of put the farm on them being a starter on the right wing, especially with the likes of Sterling looking seriously off the boil. Mats, you could really, at the moment on form, you could probably say pick four wingers to utilise. You'd probably say Martin and Mudryk as left winger choices, and then should you buy Kudus, you'd say Kudus and Madueke, who we haven't really seen, but we know he's a good player, and because Sterling just looks absolutely devoid of anything at the moment. Of course, you could theoretically play Nkunku out on the wide flanks as well, but I think he'll be better narrow, trying to combine closer to goal and trying to get in behind. And theoretically as well, of course, you could play Nico Jackson out wide, but with him looking so good as a central figure, a central striker, back to goal, as well as running in behind and combinational play, you just don't want to lose that. I certainly don't want to lose that. I think if Chelsea started an important game tomorrow, thank God we're not, by the way, I would, 99.9% of Chelsea fans start Nico up there and start Nkunku behind. They've got a good relationship. Theoretically, Nkunku can score goals in that centre-forward position, but our attack is lacking. I think just Sterling just looks off it. I don't want to write him off in a pre-season, because that's just silly. You have to look holistically at a season and chemistry and confidence. He looks really athletic, Sterling. He scored over 100 Premier League goals, so he can do it. But I, like the rest of you, like Chelsea fans, I'm worried about his form. Still, I hope the Kudus story picks up and develops momentum, because that would be a very, very exciting signing indeed. Again, Olise, Kudus, Ryan Cherki, any of them at the moment. But what would you do here, okay? I hate to talk about Caicedo again, but we have to. I mean, I love talking about him if we get the here we go from Romano, but in a way, wouldn't it be fun to just be like, sack Brighton off and go sign their best target, their primary attacking target. I would enjoy it. I would love it, and I would deserve it, if you know what I mean. Or do you swallow your pride and just say, look, we're going to make one final offer, Brighton, and after this, we are going to seek alternatives. Although our testicles are still in a vice because Brighton are very well aware we're not really close to any alternatives and second choices, which is probably our issue here. But say that we'll give you 80 million plus 5 in add-ons. There you have it. You can take that money, 80 million, 5 in add-ons, or we're going to walk away because we're going to just sign so-and-so. Just have someone waiting in the wings, like a 30 million pound player that's not as big a risk if it goes wrong. Maybe from, outside the Premier League, like a Ugarte, not one that you're going to get, gazumped by PSG, pay 60 million for him when we were like going to pay a lot less, I think. Or maybe, I can't remember if we're going to pay 60. Anyway, regardless, maybe try and find that 30 million pound CDM and just say, look, take a risk like we did with Nico Jackson and just say, look, can you do this? Can you play football? Can you play CDM? Can you do it for Chelsea? And then I kind of like it. It's kind of like, we're not that many Galacticos in the Chelsea team. Long have the days gone with, your Kantes, your Hazards, your Costas, your Fabregases, even like, Thibaut Courtois. These seriously like high profile players, probably more I'm forgetting, or failed Galacticos that we bought as well. Now it's a bit more humble and project and, togetherness and whole with like, your Nico Jacksons, your loanees coming back like Martson and Levi Colwill and, Noni Madueke, these like understated players, and granted we've got a massive World Cup winning record signing in the middle and Enzo Fernandez, but surrounded him, it's more understated, So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me know what you think. Let me know your final price for Kudus. Caicedo. Should we try and just sign Kudus and walk away from Caicedo? And what do you expect to happen now? I'll be very interested to read what you guys think is actually going to wind up happening. So yeah, let me know what you think. I look forward to reading the comments and thank you for subscribing. Peace.